Judgment here. My intention with Nerezza was to put up a video at the end of each level, but there have been significant gear changes for her, so I thought I'd put up one showing her where she was up to now that she has hit level 90, which happened yesterday. I'm still a bit surprised I've got her to this level this quickly. I now have to make a decision as to whether I progress her on to level 91, still using the same self-found gear. And it's a mix of a couple of considerations. What may be interesting gameplay for me may not necessarily be interesting play on a live stream, because I have only advanced Nerezza through the game while on stream. You can see she's made a small movement towards level 91. I did one of her normal runs yesterday, and my rough estimate is going to take about 40 such runs to get her to level 91. She is still yet to do the Ancients quest, and that'll be a fair chunk of experience, I hope, and I'm thinking of saving that until later. And a possible outline of Nerezza's future is it continues to play with self-found gear up until level 92, where I will respec her with gear I already have as a pure magic find character. I'll show you what she has at the moment. Still running with a spectral shard blade. I have now found 3 of these, but I cannot find anything better. The wizard spike or the suicide branch burnt wand may be good replacements for that, but that's as good as I can find. Peasant crown war hat. The second one I have found. This replaces a Law Grim Helm, which I'm still keeping in the stash in case I need the extra lightning resistance. The amulet, 10% fire resistance, 33 magic find, replaces a +1 to druid skills, 34 magic find I ran with for quite some levels. I thought the extra 10% fire resistance was worth dropping 1% magic find. For a shield, Nerezza is now using a 3 perfect diamond tower shield. It was a 3 perfect diamond kite shield, but I'd set aside 3 perfect diamonds in the hope of finding a tower shield and having enough strength to use it, and I have used the tower shield because of the increased block. The 3 diamond kite shield is now on switch. We're still awaiting for a suitable weapon to go in there, and I have dropped the Ancients Pledge kite shield. Still running with the tear-haunch greaves, quite literally. This ring replaces a 17 magic find ring, which is still in the stash. This ring replaces a 30 lightning resistance ring, and I thought dropping the 2% lightning resistance was desirable given this one has extra mana and a small amount of extra magic find. 2 significant pieces of equipment in terms of magic find are that we have found some chance guard chain gloves. Now 35% isn't bad. These dropped from the monsters outside Nilithak's temple, and there's one other significant drop from there I'll mention in a moment. We found the Talrasha belt. Not a perfect one, but again I thought the boosted dexterity in mana and magic find was worth the belt it replaces, which I'll show you in a moment, which is still in the stash. The charms, just various resistance charms. These 2 here, 5% magic find charms, they each replaced an 18 to life small charm, but I thought that was a fair exchange given her life is now over 1400. And these charms here we've been running with for quite some levels. So here are the overall resistances. You see they're decent enough. We could arguably do with more cold and lightning resistance, and we can in fact get those by swapping in some of the rings that I'll show you in the stash. The mercenary is now carrying a 33% steel skull. That replaces the worm skull bone helm, which also had 5% lie steel, but this one in addition has some hit recovery, attack speed, and some magic find. And the small amount there of 10% attack speed does in fact take Gulzar past the next attack speed breakpoint for the weapon I'm about to show you in a moment. We found an ethereal Kraken shell. I didn't think it was good enough to warrant a socket quest, so I ran the Heraldric Cube formula and got 3 sockets. Had I got 2, I would have used the rune word smoke, because I've found about 4 lum runes with this character. I thought I was fortunate to find a Fel rune, found a few hells, so I kept them in the stash and have made the rune word Lionheart, and that's improved his survivability a bit. But the biggest change ailing the entire character has been the mercenary's weapon. Also outside Nilithak's temple, an ethereal thresher dropped, and I thought this was good enough to warrant a Larzik socket quest to get the full 5 sockets. And into the thresher I placed the old 109 rune word Honour. Now this has made a sizable difference to the mercenary's damage, and he can now run most areas in Players 3 quite comfortably. But remember, we're not into the upper reaches of hell yet. In the stash, a Lorgrim helm. I thought I was fortunate to get that. You can see it has 14% enhanced defense. That, in my opinion, is good as any Shaco you're likely to get except a superior one. The Mervina belt Nerezza has been running with, quite literally that for many levels. I'm keeping that in there just in case it's needed to escape some very awkward monsters, and I'm thinking Deathlords in particular. Probably the second rarest find Nerezza has made has been the Telling of Beads amulet. I have found a number of these after not finding one for many years, but I'm keeping on the character purely for the +1 to colds, to skills, and the boost to cold resistance. There's a prismatic amulet I made when I'd saved up enough perfect gems. I was fortunate there to get the full resistances with it. An all resistances 14 ring I thought might be useful. That was dropped some time ago. Cold resistance ring, fire resistance ring, and a magic find ring. And all of these rings and amulets can be swapped on and off to improve resistances. Nerezza's rarest find so far of all things is a jar rune. This dropped in the last run of last Saturday night's stream in the pit. So I was glad I set up that little bit extra to do it. I have no real use for a jar rune on this character, but in the odd chance I might find a Burr rune and make Enigma, I've kept the jar rune there. I don't really intend this character to be a teleporting character. I always intend this character to run. So I don't really want to make Enigma, but if I happen to find a Burr rune and she happens to find both of them, I might bend that and make an Enigma for her. The skills. Nothing in martial arts. For Shadow disciplines, we have maximised Shadow Master. 1 point in all the others. I put a point in Fade, which I probably won't do when I respec the character. I just wanted to see what the effect was. Now Fade and Burst of Speed don't work at the same time, and it looks as if I'm going to run with full resistances and Burst of Speed, into which I've put some extra points. In the Traps tree, I've maximised Death Sentry, Lightning Sentry, 1 point to charge Bolt Sentry. I am 1 point short of maximising Shockweb as well, and I should have maximised Shockweb before putting extra points into Fire Blast, which I consider to be something of a mistake. I don't know what I'm going to do with Shadow Master when I respec the character. I may try and do some runs without a Shadow Master just to see if the character can be played, but it seems to be a reasonably useful sidekick, particularly more for distracting monsters than doing any direct damage. The next decision is, how far do I take this character with self-found gear? Her runs at the moment consist of Eldritch in players 5, Schenk in players 5 if the monsters are not too inhospitable, Pindleskin in players 5, and Dark Elder is right next to the waypoint in the Lost City. Now we've already defeated him because I've had to make this video a couple of times, but he was right up here. And the next part of the run, and you can see we also have a convenient waypoint for the ancient tunnels, is to go into the ancient tunnels and complete the ancient tunnels, the pit, in players 3. Now there are frequently uniques close to the entrance, so let's show you a bit of the gameplay as it currently stands. Now it is a bit on the slow side because, well, the gear is not all that premium yet. The chest is just here, and there can often be 2 unique groups up there, not just the one guarding the chest, and there's also often one here, so I'll give it a quick go. Now remember, it won't be particularly quick. And there's always a shrine there, in this case it's resist cold. Death Sentry. And frequently there can be unique just up here. Now this one's lightning immune, so he casts Cloak of Shadows. We've got time to do that, but here's where the mercenaries' extra damage weapon is a real help. Now I should say at this stage the magic find is 122 plus the 33 on the mercenary's helm. And there's in fact another unique, Death Sentry. Often use Mind Blast just... yeah, we're going to need to get people healed here. I often use Mind Blast just on the unique, just to keep it stunned. Okay, clearly Stone Skin's a problem. And it looks as if that was a double unique group. Yes, I'd say it was a double unique group, but the other one's been knocked down either by the Shadow Master or the Death Sentry. So that's what the gameplay looks like. And then we would go and do the same thing at the pit, which is further down here. Schwinn has sent me a web address for a Holy Grail website, and I'll put a link to that website for this character in the description. So the next video should be what Nerezza has at the end of Hell level, having completed the game, and then hopefully move into a full magic find specification. Thanks for watching.